The chamber floated in the darkness of space, orbiting a neutron star that pulsed with ancient light. Inside, representatives from 1,000 worlds sat in their designated positions, watching the human ambassador with cold eyes. Hyunwoo stood alone on the speaker's platform, his formal suit feeling too tight under the weight of their stares. He had prepared his speech for months. 70 years ago, humanity had made first contact with the Galactic Council. 70 years of following their rules, paying their fees, and proving Earth could be a responsible member of the galactic community. Today was supposed to be the day they finally accepted humanity as full members. The vote came quickly. Too quickly. The Council has reached its decision, Councillor Vexthar announced, his translator turning his words into something humans could understand. The species known as humanity is hereby denied membership. Furthermore, all humans are expelled from Council space. You have 6 months to remove all personnel, close all facilities, and return to your home system. Hyunwoo felt the words like a physical blow. Expelled? But we've met every requirement. We've followed every rule. What charges do you bring against us? Vexthar's face remained expressionless. You are too aggressive, too unpredictable. Your species reminds the Council of dangerous civilizations from the past. We cannot risk galactic peace by allowing you to remain. That's not a reason, Hyunwoo said, his voice rising. That's fear talking. Give us specific violations. Give us a chance to address your concerns. The decision is final. 6 months. If any humans remain in Council space after that time, they will be removed by force. Vexthar struck his gavel against the podium, and the sound echoed through the silent chamber. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Admiral Ji-won watched the broadcast from her office at Pacific Fleet Command. She had warned the government this might happen. The Council didn't want partners. They wanted subjects. Humanity had never been good at bowing. She activated her secure communication line. This is Admiral Ji-won. Execute Contingency Protocol Exodus. Authorization Code Phoenix Rising. Across the solar system, hidden facilities began to wake up. Construction yards that officially didn't exist powered their systems online. Research stations tucked away in asteroid belts activated their projects. For 50 years, a secret group within Earth's government had been preparing for this exact moment. President Minji addressed the planet that evening. Her face appeared on every screen in every home, on every ship throughout human space. My fellow citizens, she began, her voice steady despite the crisis. Today the Galactic Council rejected us. They fear us because we ask questions they don't want to answer. They expelled us because we won't accept their version of order, which looks a lot like control to those paying attention. She paused, letting her words sink in. Some will say we should apologize. Some will say we should beg for another chance. I say we should thank them. They've freed us from their broken system. For 70 years, we played by their rules. For 70 years, we made ourselves smaller to fit their expectations. No more. On Seoul Station, humanity's largest outpost in Council space, Taeyang gathered his team. As director of Earth's Colonial Development Bureau, he had spent decades mapping star systems the Council considered worthless. Systems too dangerous, too far from trade routes, too difficult to exploit with Council technology. Pack everything, he told his staff. Not just personal belongings. Every piece of equipment, every data file, every resource we brought here. We're not leaving anything behind for them to claim. His assistant looked worried. Director, the withdrawal deadline is 6 months away. We have 70 stations to evacuate. That's not enough time. Taeyang smiled. We're not going back to Earth, we're going to the frontier. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, beyond Neptune's orbit, Chief Engineer Sora stood in the control room of the Prometheus facility. The massive complex had been built over 3 decades, disguised as ice mining operations. Now it revealed its true purpose. Bring the foundries to full power, she ordered. Initialize the shipyard assembly lines. Wake up the construction drones. It's time. The facility stretched for thousands of kilometers through the frozen debris of the outer solar system. Inside, automated systems began producing components for starships unlike anything the Council had ever seen. These weren't exploration vessels or trade ships. These were warships designed by humans who had studied every conflict in recorded history and learned from all of them. The designs incorporated technology the Council had banned as too dangerous. Weapons they considered barbaric. Tactics they thought uncivilized. Humanity had spent 70 years pretending to accept Council wisdom, while secretly developing their own path. Back in the council chamber, Councillor Sharen of the Etherian Federation approached Vexthar privately. "This was a mistake," she said quietly. "Expelling them will make them more dangerous, not less." "They're primitives," Vexthar replied dismissively. "Without council trade, without council technology, they'll collapse within a generation. Their expansion will stall. They'll be trapped in their own system, no threat to anyone." "You don't know them like I do," Sharen said. "I've watched them for decades. They don't give up. They don't surrender. You just gave them a reason to prove you wrong." Vexthar waved her away. "The council has spoken. The matter is settled." On Earth, Hyunwoo met with the emergency cabinet. He looked older than he had that morning, the weight of failure pressing on his shoulders. "They won't negotiate," he reported. "I tried every diplomatic channel. They're united on this. We're out." "Then we follow the Exodus Protocol," Minji said. Taeyang report. The director of colonial development pulled up a holographic map. 12 star systems appeared, each marked in blue. "These are our primary targets, all beyond council space, all considered too dangerous or worthless for them to claim. But with our technology, they're perfect." He zoomed in on one system, New Gyeongju. 3 habitable planets, rich resources, but surrounded by an asteroid field that makes council-style jump gate construction impossible. "With our wormhole navigation technology, we can bypass the danger entirely." Admiral Jiwon added her analysis. "I have 300 ships ready to deploy. Another 1,000 will be complete within 2 years. The council thinks we have a small defense fleet. They have no idea what we've been building." "What about our people in council space?" someone asked. 70 stations, nearly 1 million civilians. "Not one human stays behind," Minji declared. "Taeyang's teams will coordinate the evacuation. But we're not running home. We're advancing to new territory." She stood, her eyes fierce. "The council made their choice. Now we make ours. They wanted us gone. We'll go so far beyond their reach they'll never find us, and when we return, it won't be as supplicants begging for scraps. It will be as equals, or maybe something more." The meeting ended and plans began. Across human space, ships changed course. Instead of returning to Earth, they headed for the unknown regions beyond the galactic rim. Colonists volunteered by the millions, eager to build something new, something free from council oversight. In orbit above Earth, Hyunwoo watched the lights of departing ships. His diplomatic career was over. The council had rejected everything he worked for. But as he watched humanity's exodus begin, he felt something unexpected. Hope. The council thought they had ended humanity's expansion. Instead, they had unleashed it. Without their rules, without their restrictions, without their approval holding Earth back, humans could finally show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. 6 months later, the last human left council space. Not a single facility remained operational. Not a single resource left behind. It was as if humanity had never been there at all. But in the darkness beyond the galactic rim, lights began to appear. Stations under construction, shipyards producing vessels at incredible speed, colonies taking root on worlds the council never bothered to explore. Earth had been banished, and in that banishment an empire began to rise. 18 months had passed since the banishment. In the council chambers, trade ministers reviewed troubling reports. Human ships had left council space as ordered, but they hadn't returned to Earth. Instead, they had vanished into uncharted regions, into the darkness beyond mapped space where even council ships rarely traveled. "Where did they go?" Councillor Vexthar demanded, staring at star charts that showed nothing but empty space. Nobody had an answer. Beyond the galactic rim, on a planet that had never appeared on council maps, Taeyang stood on the observation platform of New Gyeongju's first city. Below him, construction drones worked day and night, raising buildings that blended human and alien architectural styles. The planet's 3 suns painted the sky in colors Earth had never seen. "Director, the agricultural domes are producing beyond projections," his assistant reported. "The growing season here lasts almost twice as long as Earth's. We'll be exporting food within a year." Taeyang nodded, watching ships descend through the atmosphere. Each one carried more colonists, more equipment, more hope. How many systems are operational now? 12 primary colonies, 37 mining outposts, and 14 research stations. Total population approaching 15 million, and that's not counting the ships still in transit. In the Fortress Busan system, hidden deep within an asteroid cluster, Admiral G1 inspected the shipyards. Massive construction frames held vessels in various stages of completion. These weren't the small defense ships humanity had shown the Council. These were warships that would make Council admirals nervous. "How long until the fleet is ready?" she asked her lead engineer. "First wave is operational now. 300 ships all combat ready. Second wave will be complete in 8 months. That's another 500 vessels." G1 watched a dreadnought take shape, its hull covered in weapon ports and armor plating. "The Council thinks we're hiding in fear. They have no idea we're preparing." "Preparing for what, Admiral? Are we expecting a fight?" "I'm expecting the Council to realize their mistake. When they do, they'll either come to negotiate or come to finish what they started. Either way, we'll be ready. On Sol Station, now relocated to humanity's new territory and expanded to 5 times its original size. Diplomat Do Yoon met with representatives from species humanity had never encountered during their Council probation. These were the forgotten peoples, the ones the Council had abandoned or conquered centuries ago. The Vryn delegate stood nearly 3 meters tall, its crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns. "Your offer seems too generous," it said through its translator. "Why would you share technology freely? Why form alliances with species the Council considers worthless?" Do Yoon smiled. "Because the Council is wrong. They measure worth by how much they can exploit you. We measure it differently. The Vryn have knowledge about crystal-based computing that could revolutionize our systems. You have value. The Council just couldn't see it because they were too busy strip mining your worlds." The Vryn was silent for a moment. "And in exchange for this technology sharing, you want what?" "Friendship, trade, mutual defense if either of us faces threats. No demands for tribute, no forced cultural changes, just partnership between equals." The Vryn's crystalline structure pulsed with what Do Yoon had learned to recognize as surprise. The Council never offered such terms. "We're not the Council." Similar conversations happened across dozens of worlds. The Kelrath warrior clans, exiled for refusing Council disarmament, found humans who respected their military traditions. The Whisperers, telepathic traders who moved through dimensional spaces the Council didn't acknowledge, discovered humans willing to learn and explore those same spaces. One by one, species that had been cast aside or oppressed joined humanity's growing network, not through conquest or coercion, but through the simple promise of being treated with dignity. In an unnamed system on the frontier, Scout Captain Jae-hyun's exploration vessel detected something impossible. His sensors showed stable wormholes, naturally occurring gates through space that could allow instant travel across vast distances. "Run the scan again," he ordered. "Those readings can't be right." His science officer checked and rechecked. "Captain, they're real. It's a network of stable wormholes connecting at least 40 systems. They've probably been here for millions of years. Why didn't the Council find them? Because accessing them requires quantum field manipulation technology. The Council banned that research 3,000 years ago after the Ravager Wars. They considered it too dangerous." Jae-hyun grinned. "Good thing we don't follow Council laws anymore. Mark every wormhole location. This changes everything." The discovery reached Taeyang within hours. He immediately understood the implications. With the wormhole network, humanity could move ships and supplies instantly between systems. No need for slow conventional travel. No need for the Council's controlled jump gate network. They had found their own paths through space. "Keep this classified," he ordered. "The Council can't know about this yet. But start building navigation stations at every wormhole terminus. This network will be the backbone of our civilization." Back in Council space, border patrol ships began reporting strange encounters. Pirates who had operated with impunity for decades suddenly went silent. Trade ships that broke down in deep space reported being helped by vessels that appeared from nowhere, provided assistance, then vanished before anyone could ask questions. "They're human ships," one patrol captain reported. "I'm certain of it. I saw the hull markings before they jumped away. But they were in sectors we've never seen humans operate in before." Counselor Sharan reviewed the reports with growing concern. "They're not hiding. They're expanding fast." "Impossible," Vexthar dismissed. "They don't have the resources or technology to colonize that quickly. These are probably just their evacuation ships still making their way home." But Sharan knew better. She had warned them about underestimating humanity. Nobody had listened. On New Gyeongju, President Minji addressed humanity's growing empire via broadcast. Her message reached 12 star systems, 30 million people, and 17 allied species. 18 months ago, the Council cast us out. They expected us to crawl back to Earth, defeated and broken. Instead, we've built something remarkable. Not just colonies, but communities. Not just ships, but a fleet that rivals Council forces. Not just survival, but prosperity. She gestured to the data displayed behind her. Our economy is growing faster than it ever did under Council restrictions. Our population is increasing as people choose to join our vision of the future. Our technology advances without bureaucrats telling us what's too dangerous to explore. But we must remain vigilant. The Council doesn't like being proven wrong. They don't like losing control. Sooner or later, they'll notice what we're building. When they do, we must be ready. In his private office, Tai Yang reviewed the master plan he had been developing for decades. The banishment had accelerated everything, but the core strategy remained the same. Humanity wouldn't just survive beyond Council space. They would thrive. They would build something better than the Council had ever created. His secure terminal chimed. Admiral Jiwan's face appeared. Tai Yang, we have a situation. Council scout ships have entered the outer edge of our territory. They're mapping our colonies. Have they been detected? Not yet. They're using stealth systems. But our sensors are better than they think. Tai Yang considered the options. Let them look. Let them report back what they find. The Council needs to understand that we're not a scattered refugee population. We're organized, we're growing, and we're not interested in their approval anymore. You want them to know? I want them to worry. The Council scouts did report back, and their findings caused panic in the chambers. Humanity hadn't retreated. They had advanced. 12 systems under human control, dozens more in development, and technology that shouldn't exist according to Council understanding. How did they build so much so fast? One counselor demanded. Nobody answered because nobody knew. The truth was simple but devastating. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Every year spent as probationary members, they had been learning, adapting, and secretly building. The Council's rejection hadn't caught them by surprise. They had planned for it. On Seoul Station, standing in front of massive windows overlooking the construction yards, Tai Yang watched another wave of ships take shape. Behind him, President Min Ji reviewed population reports, economic projections, and military assessments. We have 42 systems now, she said quietly. 3 months ago it was 30. Next month it will be 50. The Council will have to respond eventually, Tai Yang replied. Let them. We're not the desperate species begging for acceptance anymore. We're building an alternative to their entire system. Below them, work crews from a dozen species collaborated on constructing a massive stargate, humanity's answer to Council jump gates. This one would be better, faster, and most importantly, not controlled by anyone but those who used it. The galaxy was changing. The Council just didn't know it yet. 4 years after the banishment, the Council emergency session began. With an atmosphere of barely controlled panic, holographic displays showed star maps that made counselors shift uncomfortably in their seats. Humanity now controlled 42 systems. 17 species had formed trade partnerships with humans, including 6 that had been considered loyal Council client states. This cannot continue, Councillor Vexthar declared, his voice sharp with anger. They were supposed to disappear. Instead, they're building a rival power structure. We must act decisively. Councillor Sharon stood to respond. Act how? We banished them. They left peacefully. Everything they've built is in territory we never claimed. They've broken no Council laws because they're no longer subject to Council law. They're a threat to galactic stability, another counselor argued. Their rapid expansion destabilizes established order. Their technology sharing with primitive species violates the Development Protection Accords, which they never agreed to, Sharon pointed out, because we expelled them before membership. The debate raged for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. The Council voted to send the enforcement fleet to demonstrate strength and bring humanity to heel. Fleet Commander Gartok of the Hrulian Compact would lead 800 vessels to New Gyeongju. The message would be simple: disband immediately or face pacification. Ambassador Hyun Woo received the Council ultimatum on Seoul Station. He read it once, then read it again, his expression hardening with each word. They're threatening military action, unless we dissolve our colonies and return to Earth within 60 days, he told President Min Ji over the secure channel. Their mistake, Minji replied calmly. How many ships are they sending? 800. Then we'll prepare accordingly. Contact Admiral Jiwon. Tell her it's time to show the Council why they should have left us alone. On Fortress Busan, Admiral Jiwon gathered her commanders around the tactical display. The approaching Council fleet showed clearly, moving confidently toward New Gyeongju. They outnumber us nearly 3-1, Commander Il-sung observed. 800 Council ships against our 300. Numbers don't tell the whole story, Jiwon replied. She zoomed in on the Council formation. Look at their deployment. Traditional battle line formation. They expect us to meet them head-on. Shields against shields, energy weapons against energy weapons. That's how Council warfare works. Structured, predictable, civilized. We're not civilized, someone asked with a slight smile. Not the way they define it. They've spent 10,000 years avoiding total war. They fight for show, for political positioning. We fight to win. She activated new overlays on the display. They don't know about our wormhole network. They don't know about our autonomous drone systems. They don't know we've been preparing for this exact scenario. The Council fleet arrived at New Gyeongju 3 weeks later. Commander Gartok broadcast his ultimatum on all frequencies, confident that the primitive humans would see reason when faced with overwhelming force. Vessels of Earth, you are in violation of galactic peace. Surrender your leadership for trial, dismantle your military forces, and prepare for supervised evacuation. You have 12 hours to comply. Admiral Jiwon's response was broadcast just as widely. Commander Gartok, you've entered sovereign territory without permission and made illegal threats. You have 12 hours to withdraw. This is your only warning. Gartok actually laughed. You have 300 ships. I have 800. The math is simple. Yes, Jiwon agreed. It is. The Battle of New Gyeongju began when the Council fleet moved to surround the human defensive position. They expected the human ships to hold formation and trade fire at long range. Instead, the human fleet scattered. They're running, one Council captain reported excitedly. Then the wormholes opened. Human ships vanished and reappeared inside the Council formation. Vessels that had been at the edge of the battlefield suddenly materialized in the midst of enemy ranks. The Council's carefully organized battle line collapsed into chaos. How are they jumping without gates? Gartok demanded. That's impossible. But impossible or not, it was happening. Human ships appeared, fired, and vanished before Council weapons could lock on. They used the wormhole network like a three-dimensional maze, always moving, never where the Council expected. Then came the drones, thousands of them, pouring out of the human carriers. They were small, fast, and autonomous. Council targeting systems designed to track large vessels struggled to acquire so many small targets moving in coordinated swarms. Point defense can't keep up. Ship after ship reported as drones overwhelmed their shields. But the worst surprise came when human weapons began punching through Council shields as if they weren't there. Energy shields were standard throughout Council space, proven effective for millennia. Except human weapons weren't energy-based. They were kinetic. Simple metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. The shields that stopped lasers and plasma did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic velocities. Council ships began to explode, not from overwhelming firepower, but from precision strikes. Human tactical doctrine didn't waste ammunition on disabled ships. They identified threats, eliminated them efficiently, and moved to the next target. Commander Gartok watched his battle plan fall apart. He tried to regroup his forces, but the humans kept appearing from different angles. His formation was worthless when the enemy could be anywhere at any moment. All ships retreat to Rally Point Gamma, he ordered after 6 brutal hours, but retreating was harder than attacking. The human fleet pursued relentlessly, using their wormhole network to cut off escape routes. Ships that broke formation were isolated and destroyed. Those that stayed together became concentrated targets for drone swarms. 14 hours after the battle began, the Council enforcement fleet jumped away in complete disorder. Of the 800 ships that arrived, only 234 remained combat-capable. Gartok's flagship barely made it to safety, its hull scarred and systems failing. Human losses: 17 ships destroyed, 43 damaged but repairable. The recording of the battle spread across the galaxy within days. Every species, every government, every military planner watched the same footage. The Council fleet, largest and most powerful military force in known space, had been routed by a human force 1/3 its size. The implications shook the foundations of galactic order. The Council wasn't invincible. Their technology wasn't supreme. Their tactics could be defeated. Within 2 weeks, 12 species formally applied for membership in the Terran Union, humanity's new government structure. 3 Council-member species initiated votes to withdraw from the Council entirely. The Xilon hegemony demanded Vexthar's immediate resignation, blaming him for provoking a disaster. On Sol Station, Ambassador Hyun-woo prepared a broadcast that would be heard across every inhabited world. He stood before the cameras wearing not diplomatic robes but a simple suit, speaking not as a supplicant but as an equal. People of the galaxy, you've seen what happened at New Gyeongju. The Council sent their fleet to destroy us. We defended ourselves. Now you know the truth they've been hiding. The Council maintains power through fear, not strength. They claim moral authority while exploiting weaker species. They promise peace while preparing for war. He paused, letting his words sink in. The Terran Union offers a different path. We share technology freely. We trade fairly. We defend our members without demanding submission. We have no client states, only partners. No tribute, only mutual benefit. The Council will tell you we're dangerous. They're right. We're dangerous to their system of control. We're dangerous to anyone who profits from keeping others weak. But we're not dangerous to those who want to live free, prosper fairly, and determine their own future. The Terran Union is accepting new members, not because we want an empire, because we want allies, because we believe every species deserves dignity. The Council promised you these things for 10,000 years. We're delivering them now. The broadcast ended, but its effects rippled outward. Species that had quietly resented Council control for centuries suddenly had an alternative. Worlds that had been exploited for resources saw a government that offered fair trade instead. Military powers that had been forced to disarm recognized humans as kindred spirits. In the Council chambers, Councillor Sharon watched the chaos unfold with grim satisfaction. She had warned them. She had told them humanity was different. Nobody had listened. Now Councillor Vexthar stood before an angry assembly trying to maintain control. This is a temporary setback. The enforcement fleet was caught unprepared. Now that we understand human tactics, we can adapt. Adapt how? Sharon challenged. They have technology we banned. They use tactics we considered barbaric. They're willing to do whatever it takes to win. Are you suggesting we abandon our principles to match them? I'm suggesting we do what's necessary to maintain order. Or, Sharon said carefully, we could accept that our order is broken, that maybe humanity is showing us a better way. The chamber erupted in angry shouts, but Sharon noticed something important. Not everyone was shouting. Some councillors sat quietly, thoughtful expressions on their faces. The seeds of doubt had been planted. Back on New Gyeongju, Admiral Jiwon walked through the memorial garden where 7 years had passed since the Council expelled humanity. Sol Station had grown from a simple outpost into a megastructure that rivaled anything in Council space. Ships from 93 star systems and 42 species moved through its docking bays in a constant flow of commerce and culture. President Minji stood before the Union Assembly, addressing representatives from across known space. Humans sat beside Vrin. Kelrath warriors shared chambers with Whisperer diplomats, and dozens of other species listened as she delivered her State of the Union address. 7 years ago, we were cast out. Today, we welcome our newest members, the Taurian Republic and the free worlds of Heskin Belt. Our union now encompasses 93 star systems, with populations approaching 7 billion. Our economy has grown by 43% this year alone. Our technology advances daily through the shared knowledge of all member species. She gestured to the viewing screens showing construction projects across Union space. The Stargate network now connects all our worlds with instant travel. The Dyson Swarm at Fortress Busan provides nearly unlimited energy for all members. Our universities attract the brightest minds from across the galaxy, working on projects the Council banned as too revolutionary. In the audience, Councillor Sharan watched via secure transmission. She had secretly attended every Union assembly for the past 2 years, watching humanity build what the Council had promised, but never delivered. Her own government still didn't know she was considering the unthinkable. At the University of New Earth, Chief Engineer Sora led a team of researchers from 17 different species. They were working on quantum field manipulation, gravitational engineering, and dimensional physics. All of it would have been illegal under Council law. Here, the only limit was imagination. The Dyson swarm is at 60% completion, she reported to Tae Yang during their weekly briefing. At current construction rates, we'll have full coverage within 18 months. That will provide enough energy to power everything we're planning and more. And the council? Tae Yang asked. They're trying to build their own, but their regulations slow everything down. Every decision requires committee approval. Every design must meet safety standards written 3,000 years ago. We're building a Dyson swarm. They're still arguing about whether it's possible. The economic war was going badly for the council. Their entire system relied on controlling resources and maintaining artificial scarcity. The union operated on different principles. Automated manufacturing produced goods at costs council corporations couldn't match. Open-source technology sharing meant innovation spread instantly across all union worlds. Species that had been exploited for their resources now kept them for their own development. Council client states began defaulting on tribute payments. Why send rare minerals to distant council worlds when the union paid fair market prices? Why accept one-sided trade agreements when the union offered genuine partnerships? Cultural liaison. Haewon managed the integration of new species into union society. Her office on Seoul Station had become a hub where beings from across the galaxy learned to work together. The key is respect, she explained to a group of new ambassadors. Humans don't expect you to become like us. We want you to share what makes you unique. The Vryn teach us about crystal computing. The Kelrath share their military traditions. The Whisperers show us how to navigate dimensional spaces. Every species brings something valuable. One ambassador, a Torian, asked nervously, "And humans? What do you bring besides military strength?" Haewon smiled. "We bring an idea that terrifies the council. The idea that any species, no matter how small or weak by their standards, deserves dignity and freedom. That civilization should lift everyone up, not just those at the top." But in the council chambers, patience was running out. Economic collapse threatened the entire system. Half their client states had stopped paying tribute. Member species were openly discussing withdrawal. The council's authority crumbled with each passing month. Councillor Vexthar called for an emergency session. "We must act now before it's too late. I propose we invoke the interdiction protocol." The chamber fell silent. The interdiction protocol hadn't been used in 5,000 years. It authorized total war, not for defense, but for complete destruction of a perceived threat. "That's genocide," Councillor Sharan objected. "You're proposing we exterminate an entire civilization." "I'm proposing we eliminate a disease before it spreads further," Vexthar countered. "Every month more species join them. Every year they grow stronger. If we wait, they'll replace us entirely. The council will cease to exist." The vote was closer than Sharan expected. Fear drove many councillors to support the protocol. Fear of change, fear of irrelevance, fear of losing the power they'd held for millennia. The interdiction protocol passed by a margin of 3 votes. Fleet Supreme Commander Throcknall received his orders with cold efficiency. Assemble the largest military force in recorded history. Draw ships from every council world, from every reserve fleet, from every military installation. The goal wasn't to defeat humanity. It was to erase them completely. 12,000 ships began gathering at the staging point. Dreadnoughts, carriers, cruisers, destroyers. Every vessel the council could spare. This would be the largest military operation in galactic history. On Seoul Station, Commander Il Sung's intelligence division detected the buildup immediately. His operatives throughout council space reported the ship movements, the supply convoys, the military communications that suddenly went encrypted. "They're coming with everything they have," he reported to Admiral G1. Preliminary estimates put their force at 12,000 vessels. G1 studied the tactical projections. The Union Defense Forces numbered 3,000 ships. 4-to-1 odds. Under normal circumstances, impossible odds. "What's our defensive posture?" President Minji asked. "We can evacuate all civilian populations through the wormhole network," Admiral G1 explained. "Disperse the population across 100 systems. They can't find everyone, can't attack everywhere at once. We can fight a guerrilla war for decades if necessary." "No," Minji said firmly. "We don't run. We don't hide. We face them." Fleet Admirals Kyung-soo and Yoon-ji joined the strategy session remotely. They commanded the 2nd and 3rd defensive fleets, positioned to respond to threats anywhere in Union space. "Automated defense platforms are ready," Kyung-soo reported. "We have 50,000 platforms scattered across our territory. Small, cheap to build, but deadly in numbers." The Stargate network gives us tactical mobility they can't match, Yunji added. We can shift our entire fleet to any threatened system in minutes. But Commander Il-sung brought worse news. My team's discovered something. The Council has been hiding weapons platforms in our space since before we arrived. Ancient systems predating the current Council by thousands of years. They're preparing to activate them as the Armada attacks. They've been planning to kill us since first contact, Tae-yang said quietly. The banishment, the expulsion, it was all theater. They always intended to eliminate us. War Chief Rakthar of the Kelrath proposed a preemptive strike. Attack them at their staging point. Destroy their fleet before they're fully assembled. The Union leadership debated for hours. Everything they'd built was based on defensive principles. They'd never struck first, never initiated aggression. That moral position had helped convince dozens of species to join them. If we attack first, we become what they claim we are, Ambassador Hyunwoo argued. We lose the moral authority that makes us different. If we wait, they'll kill billions, Rakthar countered. Honor doesn't matter if everyone's dead. President Minji made the final decision. We prepare for the worst battle in our history. We fortify every system, position every ship, ready every weapon, but we don't fire first. We give them one last chance to choose peace. She drafted a message that would be broadcast across the galaxy. To the Galactic Council and all species under its authority, we know you're preparing to attack us. We know you plan to eliminate humanity and all who stand with us. We're ready to defend ourselves, but we offer you one final alternative. Disband your armada. Open genuine negotiations. Reform your system to treat all species fairly. Do these things and there need be no war. Refuse and history will record that we gave you every chance to choose peace before you forced us to choose survival. The message reached the Council staging point. Fleet Supreme Commander Throcknall read it and dismissed it as weakness. Ambassador Hyunwoo sent it directly to every Council member world. Councillor Sharen forwarded it to reform groups throughout Council space. The Council's response came 3 days later. Simple and final. The Armada would proceed. The Union would be pacified. The old order would be restored. On Seoul Station, Admiral Ji-won gathered her command staff. They've made their choice. Now we show them what happens when you threaten everything we've built across Union space. 3,000 warships took position. 50,000 automated platforms armed themselves. Millions of drones prepared for deployment. The wormhole network stood ready to move entire fleets in seconds. And in the hidden depths of Union research facilities, projects the Council didn't know. The Battle of Five Spheres began when the Council Armada dropped out of jump space at the edge of Union territory. 12,000 ships spread across 5 star systems in a formation designed to overwhelm any defense. Fleet Supreme Commander Throcknall broadcast his final ultimatum, expecting either immediate surrender or quick victory. He got neither. Admiral Ji-won's response was tactical silence. No threats, no declarations, just 3,000 Union ships taking position across the 5 systems. The Council fleet outnumbered them 4-1. Every military academy in the galaxy would have called the situation hopeless. They would be wrong. All ships execute Pattern Omega, Ji-won ordered. Show them what we've learned. The Union fleet scattered, but not in retreat. Ships vanished into wormholes and reappeared inside the Council formation. Before Throcknall could react, Union vessels were firing from within his own ranks. His carefully organized battle plan collapsed in the first 30 seconds. How are they everywhere at once? His tactical officer shouted as proximity alarms screamed across the flagship. Then the automated platforms activated. 50,000 weapon systems that had been drifting silently in space powered up simultaneously. They were simple, cheap to build, and individually weak. But they numbered in the tens of thousands and they all fired at once. Council shields absorbed the first wave. And the second. By the third wave, shield generators began overloading. The platforms didn't stop firing. They didn't need rest or resupply. They just kept shooting, wearing down defenses through sheer persistence. The Council fleet tried to destroy the platforms, but targeting systems struggled to prioritize. Every time they focused fire on the platforms, Union ships appeared through wormholes and struck their flanks. Every time they engaged the ships, the platforms continued their relentless bombardment. Then came the drones, millions of them, pouring from Union carriers like swarms of metal insects. Each one was autonomous, networked to its neighbors, learning from every encounter. Council point defense systems destroyed thousands, but for every drone eliminated, 10 more pressed the attack. Our targeting computers can't keep up, ship after ship reported. There are too many targets moving too fast. But Admiral Jiwan had saved her worst surprise for last. Throughout the battle, Commander Il-sung's teams had been working. The ancient weapon platforms the Council had hidden in Union space centuries ago suddenly activated, but not under Council control. Human hackers had found them first, studied them, and rewritten their targeting parameters. The weapons that were supposed to destroy Union worlds turned on the Council fleet instead. Energy beams that could crack planets tore through Council dreadnoughts like paper. The platforms were ancient, powerful, and now serving humanity. Thrucknall watched his fleet die. Ships exploded, systems failed, formations broke. His 12,000 vessels were being systematically destroyed by a force 1/4 their size. It should have been impossible. By every traditional measure of military strength, the Council should have won. But humans didn't fight traditionally. They appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished before return fire arrived. They used weapons the Council considered primitive. They employed tactics the Council called barbaric. They fought to win, not to follow rules written millennia ago. 8 hours into the battle, something unexpected happened. Counselor Sharon's voice broadcast across all frequencies, civilian and military, Council and Union alike. People of the galaxy, hear the truth your leaders have hidden from you. She transmitted classified documents, recordings, internal communications, evidence that the Council had known from first contact that humanity was peaceful, that they had expelled humanity not because of any threat, but because human ideas about equality and freedom threatened Council power structures. They told you humans were dangerous, Sharon continued. The truth? Humans are dangerous to tyranny, to exploitation, to systems that maintain power by keeping others weak. Your leadership has been lying for 7 years. The war you're fighting isn't about defense. It's about control. The impact was immediate. Council ships began receiving messages from home. Civilian populations demanding explanations. Member species calling for immediate ceasefire. The Kelon hegemony announced it was withdrawing all forces and declaring neutrality. This is treason, Vexthar sputtered in the Council chambers. She'll be tried for telling the truth? Another counselor interrupted. She showed everyone what we've become, what we've been for centuries. The cascade effect spread through the Armada. Captains watched their homeworlds call for peace while they were ordered to continue attacking. Crew members questioned why they were dying to maintain a system their own people no longer supported. Some ships simply stopped fighting. Others broke formation and jumped away. Fleet Supreme Commander Throcknall watched his command collapse, not through military defeat alone, but through moral bankruptcy. The Council's authority had rested on a lie, and Sharon had exposed it to the entire galaxy. All remaining forces retreat, he ordered, his voice hollow. This battle is over. Admiral Jiwan could have pursued. Her fleet was intact, mobile, and facing a disorganized enemy. One more push would have destroyed the Council Armada completely. Instead, she let them go. Let them retreat, she ordered. Let them go home and explain to their people why they came here. Let them answer for the lies. The Battle of Five Spheres ended with the Council fleet limping away, having lost over 6,000 ships without achieving a single objective. Union casualties numbered 237 vessels, most damaged but repairable. The aftermath shook the galaxy to its foundations. Within 3 months, the Galactic Council formally dissolved. The vote was unanimous, though ironic. The councilors finally agreed on something. Their system was broken beyond repair. 23 former Council species applied for membership in the Terran Union. 15 others formed their own federation, modeling their government on Union principles. 8 retreated to their core worlds, unwilling to join but acknowledging they couldn't maintain the old ways. The Kelon hegemony entered alliance negotiations, seeking partnership rather than dominance. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood in the very chamber where humanity had been banished 7 years earlier. The room had been repurposed as headquarters for the Union Assembly. Representatives from 300 species filled seats that once held council members who had cast Earth out. We gather today not as conquerors but as partners, he addressed them. 7 years ago, I stood in this place and begged for acceptance. I was rejected. Today, I welcome you as equals in building something better than what came before. Admiral Jiwan retired from military service, accepting a position teaching at the Naval Academy on Fortress Busan. Students from dozens of species studied human tactical doctrine, learning not just how to fight, but why humans fought differently. The council lost because they forgot what war really is, she taught her first class. They thought it was about showing strength, about maintaining order. They were wrong. War is about survival. When you fight for your existence, you use every advantage, every tool, every tactic. You don't fight by their rules. You fight to win and go home. Tai Young became director of the Galactic Development Initiative, helping former council worlds build independent economies. His teams taught automation, shared technology, and demonstrated that prosperity didn't require exploitation. The council maintained power through scarcity, he explained during a development conference. They convinced everyone there wasn't enough to go around, that someone had to lose for others to win. We prove that's false. Abundance is possible. Everyone can prosper. It just requires changing how we think about resources and cooperation. Chief Engineer Sora led the Dyson Sphere project, a megastructure even more ambitious than the Swarm. It would harness an entire star's energy, providing power for trillions of beings across Union space. The project employed workers from 100 species, combining technologies and techniques the Council had never allowed them to share. President Minji stepped down after overseeing the transition from Union to Galactic Accord. At her farewell address, she reflected on the journey. 7 years ago, the Council banished us because they feared what we represented. Not military power, though we proved we could defend ourselves. Not economic competition, though we built prosperity they couldn't match. They feared the simple idea that every being deserves dignity, freedom, and opportunity. She paused, looking across the assembly. They were right to fear that idea. Because once people see it's possible, once they experience what it means to be truly free and fairly treated, they never go back. The Council fell not because we destroyed it, but because everyone saw there was a better way. The Terran Union established the Galactic Accord, principles governing all member species, no exploitation of weaker worlds, technology shared freely, military force only for defense, equal representation regardless of size or power, resources managed for abundance, not artificial scarcity. Not everyone joined immediately. Some species preferred independence. Others needed time to rebuild after centuries of council control. The Accord didn't force anyone. It simply offered an alternative to the old ways. Decades later on Earth, elderly Admiral Jiwan walked through gardens where children from 100 species